Nexxlegacy.
All right, my good people all across the world. I am Branded. This is Nexxlegacy Radio, and I'm here with a beautiful guest, very talented. This woman can sing, y'all. Wait a minute, hold up. Not only can she sing, she can sing. S-A-N-G. Like, she has a beautiful voice, and I just want to see her continue to grow, push her God-given talent up a level and more levels, but I need y'all to support. She has a single coming out in September this month. You know what I mean? But bigger than that, I want y'all to go tap in and follow her. You can hit her up at Kayana Music on Instagram, and just go ahead and just dive into all things Kayana, and she is my beautiful guest right here, right now, on Nexxlegacy. What's going on, Queen?
Hello there. Thanks so much for the intro. Happy to be here.
Listen, I'm glad that you were here. I want to talk music, obviously, because always on your IG, checking you out. Very talented, as I stated. Beautiful voice, just deep, on a deep level. Like, I'm really, really glad to see an evolution of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to become with the music that you're creating. So I want to start from the beginning. So how did you get started doing music?
Sure. So I came from a very musical family. So my mom's a pianist, my dad's a drummer. They're both concert producers back in the day. And so I was born into music, so I was born singing. My mom taught me piano since I was 3 years old. I was writing my first song at age 5. Throughout middle high school, I was writing my own stuff, playing guitar, playing piano. And so singer-songwriter life was my whole childhood. It wasn't until 2017 or so that I started recording my own music. And then really 2019 is when I started to take it more seriously, figure out what I want to do with it. And so here I am.
When you have that musical background, when you're in a situation where, like, not too many 5-year-olds can say, hey, I wrote a song, right? So not too many people can say that and really have that deep passion from a young age. So was there not just the family background of music, but was there a moment as you were growing up that's like, you know what, I could make a living off this, or this is what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, I think the church actually has a big influence in that, because I sang at church since I was in middle school, and that was kind of my first platform, right? So I was singing in church in the worship band, doing piano vocal stuff, guitar vocal stuff, and then just hearing people, hearing people talk about my music and telling me that they're really happy to hear me sing in church, I think was really inspirational. And a lot of the songs I wrote were related to that. But I think I took it from there. That's when I really started. And then I kind of took it to the next level in college or so.
And I think that's cool as far as just the birthplace of how you feel about music, because a lot of people out here are talented, Kayana. You know that. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you're put on this earth for a reason, I feel like. And I always feel like there's moments and times of your life where you're going to obviously see or have passion for what you do, but also you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have different things that may change the trajectory of how you go about life. But the one thing that we always do is, like, at least for me, I'm like, look, this is what I'm born to do. This is what I should do. This is who I am. So when you look back, not just at the career that you are, getting so deep into with the journey that you're creating, how is it that you could sustain this level of consistency with your passion for it? And there's so many people who are distracted.
Yeah, I think, I've set a vision for myself, and I set goals, very challenging but realistic goals for myself. And I communicate those goals, and having a fan base, having my Instagram followers is really helpful, because, I'll tell them, like, every 2 months there's a new song coming out. And so I have to follow through with that, right? So now I'm kind of at that stage where I'm setting goals for myself. When I'm finished with one thing, immediately trying to figure out what's coming next. And then trying to keep that rhythm going. And I think having a steady following base is important, because they're the ones, people like you, all the listeners here, that are keeping me accountable to that. And, you know, I love hearing the feedback from my music with every release, and then, you know, getting you all excited for the next one, right? Because if I release a song, you all tell me it's great, and then you don't hear from me for another 6 months, you're going to forget about it, right? So just to keep the stream going. And it's also for me, like personally, I'm so fulfilled by putting my stuff out there. You know, for so long I've been writing music and just, you know, keeping it to myself. And so it's really that time for me where I'm ready to put it out there. Things going on in my life, this is kind of my way of expressing it. And so with every season that I go through, I'm really sharing that with the world through my music.
You actually said something very interesting, because I had an interview with Saida Garrick. She was the woman who wrote Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror, right? So she said something, the same thing you just said, in regards to, you know, keeping it to yourself. Because I asked her, like, you know, what if you would have kept that penmanship to yourself? Michael would have never gotten it, and that song wouldn't have been as powerful or influential as it wound up being. And she said something to the effect that this is what I have to do. It's not an obligation, but it's a right that I know that I have with who I am and where I want to be able to get this out, because maybe that might inspire somebody. Do you take that same responsibility with your music, how you write and how you put this out, as far as inspirational purposes?
Yeah, I do. And I think one of the examples of that is one of my releases in 2020. I released a song called I Can't Breathe. And, you know, a lot was happening in 2020 with the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm actually half Black, I'm half Haitian. And so I was trying to figure out, like, what is my part in this movement, you know? And for me, it's my voice, right? Like, it's my musical abilities. And so I wrote a song called I Can't Breathe, and released it. And that was kind of my way of expressing my thoughts of what's going on in the world, how I see it, how I want it to look. And then I did a collaboration with a bunch of people on this music video where I reached out to all of my Instagram fans, my family, my friends, and said, send me a photo of you, you know, holding up a sign saying I can't breathe, or Black Lives Matter. And so many people sent me photos. And I put that all together in sort of a collage video. And that was really powerful. And I just love that I was able to do that. And that's kind of, you know, more of the stuff I want to do is, like, how do I use my music as a way of activism?
I love it. Kayana is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, and let's go with the single that's coming out September 16th, Jaded. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So this is my newest single, coming out September 16th, Jaded. I wrote this one, you know, I think in this new world of online dating, this is kind of the idea that, it's kind of the idea that, like, all of my friends and I are feeling of, like, it's just one after the other, and we get jaded. We get jaded by test. And it was just a song of frustration, really, that I wrote. I wrote this, like, you know, a couple of months ago after a horrible experience. And, you know, it's just the reality that we are right now in New York City in this world of online dating. And so hopefully it's relatable to a lot of people. It's a song full of attitude and frustration. I have some good beats in there. But this one I actually, and I produce all of my own tracks, but this one I had a lot of fun producing. And it's a single that I'm doing fully on my own. A lot of times I'll collab with other artists, but this one I just, my story, all on my own, and I'm excited to get it out there.
One thing you mentioned about just online dating, or just really, let's just keep it real, Kayana, just dating, period. It's just so complicated. Yeah. It's complicated for no reason. And I'm excited to hear it when it's released. I'm definitely going to buy it, download it, and have it on rotation on Nexxlegacy, obviously. But awesome. Real quick, when it comes to that, I'm just really going to dive deep into it as far as, you know, it came from a place of frustration. Not only do I get it, Are you still frustrated with the concept or the thought of, oh my God, online dating? Because people's motives when it comes to relationships or dating is very jaded. It's very complicated and complex because, to me personally, and you can have a disagreement with me about this or not, or you can agree, but the goal isn't to just date 50 million people. It's just to really find a connection that you could just really kind of focus on trying to get to know and grow, and then figure out what happens at the end of it all, because I'm not a serial dater. That's not who I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I have a lot of friends who it's worked out for, but it's really, you have to go through so many people to find one, right?
Right. Right.
And it's this concept that, like, we can be whoever we want to be with each person that we go on a date with, right? It's a new experience each time. We're bringing a new self. It's also a way of framing ourselves in the way that we want to each individual person. So it's a very different concept, I feel, now, as opposed to what it was, when you're like in college and meeting so many people all at once. So yeah, this song, I think, is hopefully will be relatable to a lot of people. Yeah.
I can't wait. The countdown's beginning for me. Like, I'm literally excited about listening to it because I want to hear that. Because to me, I love how you mentioned that it comes from a point of, aggression, or just how you feel or felt while we're recording it. Because, every story comes with a backstory as far as how things began, right? Like an origin story or whatnot. And I think it's cool that and I'm sure a lot of what you've written were based on emotions, be it if it's good, bad, or in the middle, right?
Yep. No, it totally is. It's really, about, like, boys have gotten me jaded, I'm done playing this game. It's all the same thing over and over again. And the idea that, like, we grow up with this notion of, like, love being a fairy tale and this, like, whole Disney concept. But really it's, when you look at it through the eyes of, like, the current situation, it's really not, and it's, you can't have any expectations, and, like, how, it kind of fades your innocence when you go through the process of all of these years of online dating. So hopefully this this speaks to a lot of people.
Jaded comes out September 16th. Kayana is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, and with the single coming out and other things, I always tell people as a couple more questions and we'll wrap this. Like, in addition to the single, what's next for Kayana? What else do you want to do besides coming out with singles, albums, videos? What else do you want to do in addition to what you're doing now?
Sure. So I have a couple of things I'm working on. One is I'm really wanting to become a better producer, not just singer. And so I'm experimenting with different platforms. I've been using Ableton for a while to switch the Reason. And I also want to collaborate with different artists. And so I've already kind of been doing this, but with Untamed, for example, I collaborated with a flute player who plays R&B flute. So I collaborated with a steel drum player as well. And what I want to do is, like, using traditional instruments in non-traditional ways. So I want to collab with a violin player, a cello player, and use them in R&B, hip-hop type of music. So that's kind of like one area that I'm going with, because I have a classical music background. I, play in orchestras and bands and stuff, and I want to bring that I want to bring that sort of instrumentation to my current music, and then working with various artists. One other thing I want to do is work with female artists. All of my collaborations in the past have been male artists, and I want to do, like, a female only track where I collaborate with other women in music, and hopefully launch something around International Women's Day. And aside from that, I think finding opportunities to perform live. I do have a show coming up at SOB's on September 20th in New York City. That's something I'm prepping for, and then have a couple of other things lined up. And then just growing my fan base, understanding my audience, figuring out what they want to hear, and kind of vibing with that.
And I'm going to add one more to this list, and that's to continue the partnerships and relationships you have with other radio stations in addition to Nexxlegacy, because I think if you know a place or you have a home where your music is on rotation on a regular basis, that's only going to help grow your brand, and that's going to support your brand, because we as media folks need to embrace not just the mainstream, quote unquote, but also the people who are on the rise, the people who are putting out their passion to a high level, that we need to embrace it. So as your music, Kayana, is on rotation on this station, it's an honor and a privilege to just say that, hey, you know what? If we were the first ones to put it on there consistently, dope. That's cool. But it's also, we also want other peers of our stations to be able to put this out there on a higher level as well. So it's going to be great to see your evolution. And one final question I do have for you, dear, is this might be a little weird one. I'm actually going to go with what is your favorite music decade?
Ooh, my favorite decade.
Besides the decade that you're in, which features you, Kayana, what other decade is a decade of, oh yeah, I love this whole 10-year stretch of music and moments?
Yeah, I would say the 90s. Yeah, like all the stuff I grew up with in the 90s. I feel like, I don't know, music has evolved so much, right? Like, I feel like we've gone from, like, really good music to, like, really strange music, and then I feel like now we're kind of on that trajectory back to, like, better music. Right. But, you know, I love that 90s music is still around. It's still coming back, you know? And I want to bring some of those elements back. Like, I think, you know, I've been told that, like, some of my music has, like, 80s vibes, or, you know, like, kind of old school vibes sometimes. But, like, how do we bring those sorts of the good parts of, like, good types of beats or something back to, like, current music? So always trying to figure out how to bring the old goodies back.
Listen, I know you can do it. I have all the faith in the world. No pressure, but I know you can do it because you have the sound for it. Real quick, do you have a fashion vibe that you was feeling from the 90s that you want to either, like, you know, continue seeing in 2022 and beyond, or you want to leave some of that there? Like the Carl Kanai stuff, you want to bring that back?
I don't know if I can think of a fashion from the 90s. Definitely not overalls. Definitely not that. That's all I'll say. Not a fan.
Hey, Kayana, you don't want to bring the overalls back with the one strap off? You don't want to do that?
No, I'm not about it. Not about it.
I hear you. Look, I think of this when I hear your voice, and like I said, I've been on your Instagram. I've not just seen you, I've heard you, and I see what you're trying to do with yourself going forward. I really and truly appreciate and will continue to embrace all that you're trying to be, because I see what you're doing. I see this as, you know, the stages of the journey that you're trying to accomplish. And this station, 15 years of doing this, you know, it has expanded over the last 2 years in terms of a broader base of fans all over the world. It's going to be, as I said earlier, an honor and a privilege to get your music out on rotation. And I just want to continue to see growth and elevation from what you do, not just as a singer-songwriter, but as a person as well. And I want to give you this moment to go ahead and give your shout-outs to your people, you know, direct more traffic to all social media platforms. I want to give you this moment right now to just, you know, speak on that.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I have an incredible team that I would like to thank. I work with Vince McCartney. He's my sound engineer, my recording engineer. He is amazing. He's the one that, you know, makes my visions into reality. So love working with him. My friend Manel, who has been, you know, my right-hand girl for everything, whether it's giving me feedback on my music, being my makeup artist, doing my nails, my hair for all my music videos, coordinating everything. She's been with me throughout this whole process and this whole journey. And of course, my mom, who also doubles as my videographer and my photographer at times, has been, backing me throughout. And we've also done a couple of collabs together on piano vocals. So, and then in terms of following me, I'm on Instagram, Kayana Music. It's Kayana Music. I'm very active on there. And then you'll see a link to all of my streaming platforms from there. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, all the platforms. So definitely follow me, subscribe to my channels. You'll get updates about new releases coming up. And if you're in New York and you're free Tuesday, September 20th, come out to SLB's. I'll be performing there for R&B night. And those tickets are currently on sale. If you go to my Instagram page or my Spotify to purchase tickets.
Excellent, excellent. I want to thank you. I'm sure this is the first of many opportunities you and I will have when it comes to dialogue and anything on a promotional level. I am so proud of you. So keep it up, and continue to keep elevating. Wow, beautiful, beautiful, inside and out. This young lady, go tap in and follow. And as we
Nexxlegacy.